Hi there. This one is a little different. It's dark out, I'm walking. This is actually the inspiration for this channel, which is somewhat ironic. Enough of the little intro here. Getting to the actual point of the video. I want to talk about a couple of moves the Orioles have made so far this offseason. And then I have a little bit of a rant about somewhat the Orioles, but a broader baseball issue, which relates to Juan Soto, the Dodgers, and the Scrooge list, we'll say. So anyway, let's start out with the Orioles. Just to preface this real quick, I've been following Liverpool for 13, 14 years now, something like that, which is crazy. It's a long time now. But the previous owner for them was terrible. Nearly ran into the club into the ground. They would not have ceased to exist. I think that's being over dramatic, but it was bad to the point where they had to be sold, more or less bailed out by FSG. That's Fenway Sports Group, led by John Henry, owner of the Red Sox. And while they've won the Champions League once, won the Premier League once since I've been watching them, they could have won way more. I mean, you had Jurgen Klopp. You had, as the Tacticos on Twitter would say, all-timers, Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Alisson. Not to mention Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino. Robertson was really good for a while. Point is, cheap ownership, sustainability, quote unquote, I'm well used to that. And going with college sports, I mean, I'm a UVA fan. I went to UVA, so obviously I'm used to people being cheap and questionable styles and, in a way, excuses for a lack of talent and true success, I'll say. I had a UVA rant too, but I'm going to leave that one for basketball to the side for now and get back to the point. So far, despite losing Corbin Burns, because I'd be shocked if they bring him back because they're cheap, even with supposedly richer owners who are willing to spend, and they've made, I would say, lateral moves for two of the at least five, I would say, at least four, but probably at least five, if you're actually trying to compete, spots of need this offseason. Those being Brian McCann going off into free agency, and they bring in Gary Sanchez to replace him. If you look at Fangraphs, that's I forget if this was like actual WAR or projected for next season, but it's like a 0.1 difference. So yeah, negligible. And the other move so far has been Tyler O'Neill, truck rolling by with a loud engine. So anyway, Tyler O'Neill coming in, and Anthony Santander is not coming back. In a vacuum, I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's good either. I think it's acceptable for a serious ball club. Letting them go and not replacing them would have been, I think, negligent. So at least that didn't happen. But at the same time, it's not an upgrade. You can debate that if you want. I don't really care. But I think between O'Neill striking out a ton and missing a lot of games and just being more of a bodybuilder at this point than a baseball player, that's a problem. You're not getting, I don't think, over, and he might leave after a year anyway. If he has a good year, he'll leave. So he'll opt out. So that's yet another one of these moves that's so either he's gonna not have a good year and he'll stay, or he'll have a good year and he'll leave. Neither one of those, you can look at that how you want to look at that. I'm not gonna say too much about that one. But what I see is Santander is gone. And there's not going to be a ready-made replacement for next year, unless you're going to count on probably Judd Fabian or Dylan Beavers, which yet to be seen there, because Vance Hennicott's not going to be ready. Bradfield might, but even then, that's still a question. The bigger issue I'm having, and this is actually might get into a longer video, but whatever, is the pitching and the way they're not really. I don't understand the strategy here. To recap, you lose Bautista. Bradish, by January, February, it's clear that he's probably going to get injured because his elbow is falling apart. You trade for Corbin Burns. He's awesome. He's put himself in line to get a long deal for a lot of money, probably $200 million plus. Yet, the trade, do I think DL Hall is great? No. Do I think with Danny Coulombe leaving, having injury concerns, he would have been a piece that would have been useful right now? Yes. Do I think Connor Norby, or actually, sorry, Joey Ortiz then, and then Connor Norby later, at least one of them would have been helpful when both Mateo and Westberg were injured, and even now when you don't know what Holiday's going to give you, and you have one major league caliber right-handed hitting outfielder, if you don't count Jorge Mateo? Yeah. So if you could have had Jorge Mateo play center and platoon with Mullins full-time and have either Norby or Ortiz play second while Holiday gets his feet under him, that would have been ideal. Yet that didn't happen, and when Bradish does get injured and is out, Bautista obviously is not back, Kimbrel failed, you paid him a decent amount of money and then DFA'd him, you lose Burns for maybe a comp pick. I don't think that's good enough. I don't think that's sustainable. And now they're sitting here, most of the quote-unquote aces are gone, or you're going to have to trade for one. And a number of those only have a year left, talking about Valdez and Cease. I just don't understand this strategy. Is there a strategy? Are they just winging it? Is it, oh, well, we have this core and they're all cheap, so we're just going to wing it every year? You're not the Mets. You don't have Frankie Lindor. And no, Gunnar Henderson's not quite there yet to actually say, oh, yeah, he's better than Lindor. You don't spend the money to go get Juan Soto. You didn't have, I wouldn't even say the Mets were amazing. I think they had an overall slightly better rotation, slightly better lineup, and they made it further. And now they're going out and spending money because they had a bunch come off, and their owner actually cares about winning. Now, yes, he is an anomaly. He's spending his own money. They are not making money, really, based on how much they're spending. I have to be checked on that, but I do think that's actually the reality based on revenue to payroll. But is that bad? That's a debate. I prefer that than 15 plus teams not even attempting to put the best product out because they care so much about the bottom line. And yeah, the Orioles are part of that. Absolutely. Again, I wouldn't even have an issue being cheap and risk averse if you actually went out and re-sign the guys extend the guys who are on basically no money. So extend Adley now. Gunnar doesn't want to extend, so you extend Westberg, Hauser, Povich, even Eflin for another couple years or a year. I just don't understand this idea of having, so let's just say they get Cease or Fromber. So you have them for a year and they leave. Now you're replacing one of those plus Eflin, plus Mateo, plus Mullins, plus O'Hearn, plus Soto, plus Dominguez. You lose a year. You're probably not winning the World Series because you're being cheap and not getting the best talent because you're being cheap and not wanting to trade people. So you're going to have to go get at least one more pitcher, even if Bradish is truly back and takes that spot back from Eflin. It's still the same merry-go-round. Still the same cheapness, stinginess, lack of truly going in and trying to win, you're not going to make the World Series doing that. You might not even make the playoffs. And honestly, it's a matter of luck that so many other owners are cheapskates. Imagine if the Mariners did anything to legitimately complement their sick rotation. Imagine if the Guardians weren't owned by the cheapest, well, maybe not cheapest because they're not. There's so many cheap owners, I can't even go too in depth about that. There's so many, it's ridiculous. But like I said, Cleveland, Detroit, Minnesota, if any of them tried, if Seattle tried, if the Astros said, hey, we're going to give it one more go, re-sign Bregman, keep Tucker, keep Valdez, they're beating you. The Rangers are spending some money. The Rays, I mean, they're not going to do much, but if the Red Sox add another arm and a bat, they may well pass you. The Blue Jays could give it one last ride with Vlad. I mean, the Yankees already were better than you and are making moves. So again, you're on the verge of not making the playoffs. And yeah, there's time to go. I'm not saying there isn't, but I don't view this. Oh, and that's the other part of this. You don't have much to trade anymore. Judd Fabian, Dylan Beavers, Brandon Young, Chase McDermott, like that's not much to trade. You're not going to trade Basayo. You don't want to trade Mayo. You don't really want to trade Bradfield or Honeycutt. Who are you trading? It's a serious question. Who are you trading? You could probably, because San Diego's trying to cut payroll, you could get Cease, but again, that's that same issue. Same thing with Valdez. And then what are you giving up? Are you giving up too much for a rental again? Are you seriously going to compete? These are all questions. And this model doesn't seem to be working. I wonder what it'll take for them to actually change and start to be a little more serious. And again, the Pirates, they're in this category. The Reds are in this category. Who else? The Rockies. I don't know what the Rockies are doing. Who knows? The Braves, even to an extent, are in this category in that they have signed guys, but they're affordable deals. Like Ozzie Albies being the poster child of that, where he's making like something like $8 million a year, which is crazy. Although with his injuries, that's not actually as much of a bargain as it might have seemed at one point. But again, even the Braves, like with their combination of the network and just everything going on with Turner and all that, I assume that's still maybe a thing. But anyway, maybe it's more like Bally or whatever that's turned into. FanDuel, who knows, who cares. But the point is, they at least are in and around the playoffs. I hate that term. I can't believe I just said that. But they're at least competitive. They had horrific luck with injuries. They actually get that bad luck over the season excuse, because it was. They lose Acuna again. They lose Strider. Anyone would suffer with that. Then you have Riley, Olsen, Murphy, all either injured or perform poorly. And yeah, you're not going to do well. But even then, they've made they made a smart move getting rid of Soler. We'll see what they do with the arms, seeing as Strider's still out, see if they get an outfielder or not, see what they do with the infield. I don't know why I even just started talking about the Braves. The overall point was that I'm sick of the Orioles being cheap. I'm sick of a lot of this product being kind of crap because over half the teams don't seem to care based on the ownership. And I commend the likes of the Dodgers, the Mets, etc., who seem to want to put a good product out there. And I wish all the teams would do that. So I have no problem with deferring money. A lot of teams have done it. It's just when the Dodgers do it because they're good, people want to complain. That's tough. And I think everyone should stop sucking up to the billionaire owners and ask the real questions and stop supporting this nonsense. If they don't put a good product out, don't watch it, don't go to it, don't buy the merch. That's all I have to say. See you in the next one.